everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is Ed, and today we are going to talk about why the Supernote Manta was my go-to device for InstructureCon 2025. Let's get into it. All right, so why did I feel it necessary to make this video? Well, there are several reasons. As most of you know, I've been testing out several devices recently, both the BOOX Note Air 4C and the ViWoods AI paper. These are exceptional devices, both having strengths and challenges. Okay, so you might be saying, wait, Ed, still, why are you making this video about the Manta and some conference many of us might never have heard of? The main reason is because the Manta is so easy to use and just fits seamlessly into my workflow. Second, I need to be transparent that familiarity does play a role. I've been using the Supernote device as my daily driver for over 4 years, starting with the A5X, whereas I've had the BOOX and ViWoods devices for just a little over a month in the case of the Note Air 4C and just a few weeks with the AI paper. Third, did I say ease of use? Well, I need to formally call it out here again. Having the quick access menu, email integration, and Google Calendar integration just made things easy. Both other platforms have some of this, but neither has both. Fourth, the Supernote community plugin for Obsidian is genius. It makes acting on my notes and adding them to a full second brain system extremely easy. I can truly extend the reach of my original note while maintaining the initial handwritten record. Finally, just the tool set. Being able to add unlimited keywords for easy searching, star marks for quick follow-ups, and to-dos for reminders to talk with certain people allowed me to not have to worry about moving anything off the device until I was absolutely ready to do so. Oh, before I forget, the conference is an important context for why I took this device. InstructureCon is hosted by Instructure, the parent company of the Canvas learning management system. This video is not sponsored by Instructure, but as part of my day job, I was lucky enough to get to attend. Sessions ran from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily with additional networking sessions in the evening. If you're a teaching and learning nerd like I am, it's about the coolest place on earth for a couple of days. Not to mention, hanging out with Sasquatch, aliens, and other mythological creatures this year was a blast. With all of that said, let's talk about what you are going to see in this video. First, we will go through an example of the notes that I took during the conference on the Supernote Manta, and some of my favorite features, including a few from the current beta. Next, I will show you how I moved the notes to Obsidian using the Supernote Partner app. Finally, I'll show you how I would clean up one note and get that incorporated into my Obsidian second brain system. So why don't we go ahead and jump on over and take a look. All right, so here we are back with the Manta, and I want to point out some of the things that were really important for me while using this device at the conference and why I picked it over the other devices. Like I said, when you get to BOOX or even the AI paper with ViWoods, they're good devices. They do a lot of really good things. But when it comes to my workflow and the way that I've structured my second brain system with all of the different components, this device just really shines. And it does all of the things that I need to do and does them well. And any of you who've watched my channel for a long time know that I'm not a big fan of friction. So I don't want things that are going to get in my way. And if the technology is going to get in my way, I'm not going to use it. And I'd much rather find something that's going to fit. So for this, when I was actually writing all of this, once I got this header down, and this is a beta feature, so just as a reminder, in the current beta, you can convert to text and you can then circle that converted text and turn that into a heading, attach keywords to it, do a lot of different things with it. So what I first did was I converted the text. And this is also duplicative of a shorter title that I attach to each note. But if you go to the table of contents here, you're going to notice all of my keywords. That's what I'm on right now. There's no limit here. BOOX limits you to 5. And in this particular case, I do want them tied to the page. So I don't have, and quite frankly, in the Supernote, you get the real-time recognition, which is also searchable. So most of the words are searchable just throughout the text. This is kind of a redundancy and a backup feature for me to be able to search by topic almost. So you'll notice you have the year, you have this is connected to adult learning because it's badging related. There are badges there, Canvas, obviously, the conference, the year we had learning management systems and structure and InstructureCon. So a lot of different things going on here, but that are very important to me to be able to get all of the things done that I need to get done. There's no star marking on this particular page, but I did use that in another note just for like a quick, I want to remember this small point. And then my heading is right here. And so that heading now being in a text format, you'll notice it shrunk quite a bit. And that's really cool. I get more real estate to write on the tablet itself. Plus, in my table of contents, I get a much more concise view because it's not taken up by how large or how small that I write. Another thing that I do want to call out on this is the quickness with which you can minimize your toolbar and get rid of that and this bottom bar. So I don't have to worry about accidentally advancing the page. I don't get a lot of accidental touches, but occasionally I would hit that arrow. And in this particular instance now, I've got a full canvas to write on without having any issues or anything in my way. And then it's very easy to pop that toolbar back up, either with the little icon that's here or with just that double tap and it pops right back. Pretty cool. So all of that is one of the main reasons that I took this device with me, and the ability to undo and redo by a quick swipe, the quick access, which is here on the right. I'm able to quickly get to everything that I need, including my main note folder that I put right at the top for the conference. So if I ever wanted to jump into anything, I could quickly do that. And you'll notice when I go to that, it's going to take me to the days. So these are the days with all of the different sessions that I had. And you also have that searchable tool. So by tagging those different components, and you'll notice here that I actually created this for another thing. So let's instead go to and use one of my recent ones. So let's go to badging because we know badging is going to be in a lot of places. I've selected a note. I could select all files if I wanted to. But now you're going to see every page the badging is showed up on. If I wanted instead to go to files, I can view it that way. And that's where you're going to be able to see all of these different pieces and places, including other notes that are outside of the conference where there was a conversation about badging. So it's pretty cool to have that functionality. And again, I use those keywords as kind of a backup because I know that I can search by text all the way through as well. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to jump over and we're going to show you the apps. I did record this once already without voice. So luckily the voice is on this time. And we're going to jump over. I'm going to show you kind of quickly what the app performance looks like with Obsidian and the Supernote desktop. But at the same time, I'm also going to show you what a cleaned up note looks like in Obsidian and what that workflow is like so that you can kind of see how the community plugin for the Supernote really enhances my workflow and allows me to expand beyond just these notes. The keywords, the star marking, the quick access, I could use links within here if I wanted to. All of that works seamlessly on device so that I don't have to be in a hurry to get it off the device. But when I'm ready to get it off the device, the best thing in the world is to pull it into Obsidian because then it can continue to organically grow afterwards. So let's go ahead and hop over there and I will see you back in just a minute. All right, everyone. So now we're back over here in Obsidian and the desktop app for the Supernote. And as I mentioned, I filmed this without sound, so I'm going to skip a couple of steps here, but I have videos that you'll find down in the description that talk about how to import using the plugin. And I'm going to show you kind of what that output looks like. But really quickly, just as kind of a recap for those who haven't seen it, when you turn and right click on any of the file folder or any of the files, so let me do that, you're going to notice here that you can show in System Explorer. So within Obsidian, you right click, you go to show in System Explorer, and over here, you'll notice that I've got a similar file structure and I can go to open file path. If you do that, what you're going to have is it's going to open in Windows Explorer. Now this is Windows. I'm not sure exactly how the Mac works, but I would assume there's probably a way to go to the local file within Finder, but don't quote me on that. I'm not a Mac person, but this is definitely how easy it is to do on Windows. So from here, once you would open that, and initially you'll notice these are both highlighted with InstructureCon. But what I had done was there was no InstructureCon folder over in Obsidian. So I just right clicked here, I copied and I pasted. And once I did that, all of these notes then came over to Obsidian. So now we'll go ahead and close these because we don't really need those anymore. This is my map of contents for Obsidian. So once I'm done with all of these notes and converting them into the markdown files, I will pull them to the proper day. And then you will have this map of contents, and you'll notice these are other conferences that I've used as well. But right now, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the Supernote Partner app. We don't need that. And we're going to focus on this. First of all, what we'll do is I'll show you how it comes in to the app. When you first get the template, when you first get the import, it pulls in and you get some options here at the top. So the first thing it does is it converts the handwritten pages into editable text. So it does the character recognition. The nice thing about these new titles that I found is before I would write my title at the top, and then when I imported it, it would duplicate. So I'd have to actually delete this again. But since it's text already, it ignores it and it just converts the handwriting. So that's kind of a nice value add because of the fact that I already have a title here. So here's again how this works. You'll notice that I use my different things for bullets. Now this will get cleaned up and you'll have some different components. But what you do is you can say add markdown to Vault, attach markdown and images to Vault, or attach a PDF. Now the way I do this is, and watch over here on the left when I do this, I will go ahead and hit attach markdown and it immediately attached that markdown file. And then I'll hit attach as a PDF. And you're going to notice that now there's a PDF here. Now, why do I do it that way? I do it that way so I can more easily combine this for my own purposes. So now I can go to the markdown file and you'll notice it duplicates everything here. And then I can pull the PDF directly into this markdown file. And now on one page, I can go to that original note that you just saw with all of this information showing me by page how it was all done. Or I can go here and then I can see the PDF in real time and just have that all in one page. And then you'll notice I clean this up here in a minute. When I'm first editing, if I have time to do it right in the moment, a lot of times what I'll do is go ahead and open this to the right. And you'll notice now that I can just edit and read to double check all of the character recognition right there. I can always do that later too. So right now it looks like, man, I've got to scroll all the way down, then I've got to go up and all this to make sure it's right. But if I use my arrow key here and I right click on this link, go open to the right, same thing happens. And I am able to go ahead and again, tidy this all up. Now, the reason that I can make it even cleaner is if I go back over here to the left and I right click, I can say move file to. And the way I have it set up is I just move them to the attachments. And I do the same thing with the PDF. So I go Move File to Attachments. Now, one thing to remember about Obsidian is although you can pull files in really easily if you are pulling them in from Supernote through Windows Explorer, do not move files around within Obsidian if you want the links maintained. Use this to move the file. It sounds or it seems like it would be easier to do that as kind of a Windows Explorer thing, but if you do, it breaks the link. I don't know why. Hopefully they'll get that addressed, but it's really not that hard. If you know you're keeping everything in your attachments folder, you just right click, move to and attachments, and you're done. So now let's go ahead and look at what a cleaned up file looks like. You go in here, and this is the one I did earlier when my microphone wasn't on. You're going to see that this was about getting to know Parchment. And Parchment is one of the Instructure products that they acquired Parchment last year. It's the largest provider for transcripts in higher ed and K through 12. I think it's the largest in the United States and one of the largest globally. But what I did here is you can see this is the original note. So right here you have all of your different components. And then I cleaned that up. So instead of having nothing here when I was taking my original note, I was like, well, these are really general statistics about dual enrollment. And I created a title, and then now I have my bullet points. All of that is right there. Then Parchment Pathways actually is all of these different components, but they're also duplicated here. So I deleted this and instead made these subheadings underneath Parchment Pathways. So I can collapse this at any time, and then I can go to any specific component that I want and see what was under that. And when I get to dual enrollment here, it tells me a little bit more. I've got more percentages. All of this refinement that you see here took me about 10 minutes because the optical character recognition was extremely good. Now, what I did was have to take some of these longer sentences that may not have fit on one line. And let me see if I can find a good example of that. Like this one right here. I had to backspace space to pull some of these lines up. But again, it took me about 10 minutes to get all of this in here. And then this particular conversation, and I didn't put Kevin's contact card here. I just put Kevin in the brackets, and you'll notice it's bracketed. That would normally be a contact card so that I would have the person linked to this. Obviously, it's a work note. I don't want to do that. I also have some externals here. Parchment part of Instructure is enveloping what used to be called Canvas credentials. Well, if someone wants to know what that and the GLCA, which is the Great Lakes College Association, are, they can click right here and they can see all of these different components right within Obsidian. They don't have to leave. So if I share this note with someone who has Obsidian, or for my own reference, if I need to go back, I'm not being taken out of the program. That's extremely powerful. And the same with Parchment. So if I want to provide this context, and when I come back and change this later, right now Parchment still has their own separate thing. It says by Instructure, but then you go in here and you're going to see Canvas credentials, and it's starting to talk about Parchment. They're starting to unify that experience. But I can come back in later once this is all done and alter and change anything here that I need to make this a more consistent experience. So this note evolves over time. It's not static. It's not going to stay the same. And that is extremely powerful. I can add more people to it. I can add more context to it. I can tie it to a note maybe a year from now so that I have that history and that longevity and that longitudinal thought that comes from having what is often referred to as a second brain. My mind could not always keep these connections front of mind, but as I'm building, as I'm evolving, as I'm changing things and adding things, then you're going to start to see these linked dimensions evolve as well. And it'll even look, if you say unlinked dimensions, and I don't think you'll find anything here, although there may be something popped up. but I don't think so. But I can click here and it'll crawl and look through my vault to say, hey, you mentioned this somewhere else, but you haven't linked it to this particular node. And then I can link that. So that's kind of cool that you can do that. And as I said, this is a brand new node, so it's not going to have anything. I mean, the fact that I can collapse all of this, have it ready to go, and then be able to, see the source documentation. And if I wanted to, I can even pop back over to the original note that I showed you that's very similar to the one that we did our original or that we did that initial view of. But for me, that's why this is so powerful. That's why this device and this workflow is so wonderful and why I took it with me. I didn't have to worry about friction. I didn't have to worry about not knowing how something was going to work. I didn't have to worry about opening the right type of note. I didn't have to worry about, is this a meeting or is this a paper? Again, those are great devices and for the right people, and I'm going to do long-term reviews on both of those. They are probably the perfect device. For me, in this moment, with the sheer amount of different meetings I had to go to, and you can even look at this, just look at the different amounts of meetings here. In 3 days, this conference goes from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night and has other networking events on top of all of that. So it is action packed. And I'm going to have so many things here to link back to so many other things, and maybe even link them back to the 2024 InstructureCon. And, again, get that follow through, get that longitudinal information, really make those connections. But just wanted to show you that, wanted to walk you through what it looks like in Obsidian and in the Supernote partner app. And again, you can see I always have things similarly structured. I do that for the reason to keep me on track, that I know whether it's in Obsidian or whether it's in the Supernote that I'm going to be looking under professional development. And I'm going to be looking under conferences to find this information. Obsidian's going to be more robust. It's going to have more development. It's going to have even deeper connections into other notes. But the Supernote's going to have a lot of that already baked in and already built so that all I have to do is bracket it. And in some cases, it'll even read those brackets and auto convert those links. Haven't got that down to a science yet, but I think that that is going to be really even more powerful the more that gets refined and the better that text recognition becomes. Thank you. Let me jump back over and we will close out. And there with me, this has been a fun video to make. I did not realize, as much as I am enjoying working with the BOOX platform, working with the ViWoods platform, learning these new technologies, I didn't realize just how much I really enjoy using the Supernote Manta and using the Supernote platform in general, especially with this new beta and some of the different things that you have available. Even on the plane, which is something I didn't talk about in the video itself, I found myself using the new digest tool, which I will make a dedicated video for at some point, but using that to read and to closely read and draw out and start to notate and make different notes on. But for this conference in particular, first of all, I knew it was going to be fast paced. I knew there were going to be a lot of things going on, and I knew I didn't have time to have friction. And those of you who followed me a long time know that friction is your enemy. If you're trying to be organized, if you're trying to get things done, and if you're trying to get them done quickly, the last thing you need is technology getting in your way. It's why I use notebooks. It's why I used paper, because I could always go back and fix or alter or change or expand later. But getting those key points down in the moment is so important. And the Supernote platform lets you do that and lets you do it also with a lot of those digital enhancements and tools and being able to go ahead and add in some of those elements using a star mark to quickly be able to say, I need to come back to this as soon as this is over. Using a to-do to circle and turn something into a to-do that, yeah, it doesn't make it to my Google task list maybe, but it doesn't have to because I still have a reference of it. Or if it's something that I'm going to follow up on later, I will go ahead and add it in as a Google task. I don't know, but right now, in the moment, I know that it's something I need to get done and it's on device. I don't have to sync somewhere else. I don't have to go somewhere else. I don't have to do anything anywhere else. The same with the tagging. Yes, am I going to put it into Obsidian? Am I going to link it? Am I going to add notes to it? Am I going to add contact cards and people to it? Absolutely. What I'm not going to do, though, is do that right then. I probably won't even be able to get to it for another week or so. So if I can tag it now and I can tag it in the Supernote system, and I want to see where did I engage with badging or where did I engage with Canvas, which most of this was about Canvas, but whatever the topics were, accessibility, badging, any of those options, I can have those keywords identified and in there so I can easily pull those notes. But anyway, like I said, as always, thank you all so much for your support. Thank you for being here with me on this journey. You'll see my patrons going on the screen here. Please feel free to support me in any way you can. You'll notice links in the description to the things that I use to create my content, the current suite of devices that I'm using and testing. And until next time, thank you all so much. Keep on moving forward, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye now.